Welcome back to the channel, everyone. For this video, we are in the city of Edinburgh to show you how you can spend 24 hours in Scotland's capital city. From touring one of the oldest fortifications in Europe, to exploring the purportedly haunted history beneath the city's streets, to providing you with multiple dining options ranging from afternoon tea on the water to Michelin-starred dishes, as well as a decadent and witchy dining experience only steps away from Edinburgh Castle. Join us as we show you some of the best things to do and eat in Scotland's capital city. Edinburgh is a city steeped in history, with perhaps the most prominent historic site in the city being Edinburgh Castle, a formidable fortress perched atop a 459-foot-high volcanic plug known as Castle Rock. To explore this historic fortress, we booked an official guided tour, which includes admission to the castle and a 30-minute introductory tour to the grounds. Visitors who book the tour are provided with earpieces, which allowed us to wander within the vicinity of the guide, so we could enjoy the beautiful views from atop the castle while still being able to hear our guide speak. Originally known as the Palace Yard, Crown Square was created in the late 1400s to be the castle's principal courtyard, and it now serves as the point of entry for each of the courtyard's surrounding buildings, which includes the Great Hall. Completed in 1512, the Great Hall was built for James IV, and intended to serve as the chief place of royal ceremony in the castle. The medieval hammerbeam roof is one of the most important in Britain, and scientific analysis has shown that the oak timbers that comprise the roof were felled in Norway around 1510, before being shipped to Edinburgh. Following Cromwell's 1650 capture of the castle, the Great Hall was converted into a barracks for his soldiers, and remained in military use for the next 230 years. Perhaps in reference to its time as a military barracks, arms and armor on loan from the royal armories are also on display throughout the Great Hall. The castle also features a dog cemetery, which has served as the burial place for regimental mascots and soldiers' pet dogs since the 1840s. I don't know if it's possible for dogs to become ghosts, but if so, these puppers sure are getting a great view of the city from here. This tiny structure here is actually the oldest building in the castle. Known as St. Margaret's Chapel, it was originally built in 1130 by King David I as a private royal chapel, which he dedicated to his mother, Queen Margaret, who was later made a saint. On our way down to the prison area, we passed through Foog's Gate, an entryway to the upper ward that was built in the later 1600s, and which was previously known as Foggy Gate, a name thought to be in reference to the thick sea mist that shrouds Castle Rock from time to time. Located beneath the Great Hall and Queen Anne buildings are two tiers of stone vaults, perhaps best remembered for their use as a prison for prisoners of war. Used to hold prisoners during the 7 Years' War, as well as the French and American Revolutions, these stony vaults held prisoners, primarily sailors, that included individuals who were French, Spanish, Dutch, Irish, and even Americans. In fact, there is a door on display in this area that has an etching from a former prisoner showing an early version of the American flag. We thought that was pretty neat. We would also be remiss if we didn't tell you that Edinburgh Castle also holds the Scottish Crown Jewels, but we were not allowed to film in that area for security reasons. Though we will say that it was a really fun experience to go through that area and to see those historical artifacts. If you plan on visiting Edinburgh Castle, we recommend going early to avoid overcrowding. But if you're planning to visit in the afternoon, make sure to stop by the Millsmount Battery to see the 105mm field gun being fired off at 1 o'clock. The gun is fired every day at 1 p.m. except for Sundays, Good Friday, and Christmas Day, which is a tradition that dates back to 1861, back when it was fired to help nearby ships set their maritime clocks. After spending a delightful morning exploring Edinburgh Castle, we're off to board the Fingal, a ship commissioned by the Northern Lighthouse Board in 1963 that has now been transformed into a 5-star hotel, featuring the Lighthouse Restaurant, and which has been permanently docked in the waters of Edinburgh's vibrant port district of Leith. Additionally, the Fingal boasts a unique, bespoke glass elevator that is apparently one of only 9 such circular elevators in the world. For our visit, we booked the afternoon tea with add-on champagne. Our afternoon tea experience begins with a welcome glass of champagne served at our window-side table. In fact, one aspect of this visit that I really enjoyed was the ability to go out on the bow of the ship to enjoy the views of the nearby buildings and water while topside. To begin, we were served a leek and potato amuse-bouche, which we both very much enjoyed. After this, we were served a series of savory and then sweet snacks, all of which we thoroughly enjoyed and found to be very tasty. Upon first arriving, you get to select the kind of tea that you would like to have during the experience, and we very much enjoyed the tea that we were served, even though we do tend to be coffee drinkers for the most part. Overall, we enjoyed our time on the historic Fingal and enjoyed the food and drinks we were served. But if you're less inclined to board a ship for a meal, then might we suggest an alternative in the Spence, a Michelin-recommended restaurant located within a 5-star property, the Gleneagles Townhouse. I am a huge Wes Anderson fan and so really enjoyed the hotel's check-in area, as it looks like a scene taken straight out of a Wes Anderson film. One might also say the same about the dining room, as the pink decor reminds me of the Grand Budapest Hotel. And if you do choose to patronize the Spence in the alternative for your own trip, we thought the food at the Spence was absolutely delicious, and we enjoyed each and every course and thought the service was excellent. So whether or not it is a first or second choice, we don't think you can go wrong if the Spence is where you choose to dine. But if you do go, make sure you order dessert because they have some excellent choices there. For our visit to Edinburgh, we stayed in the stunning Rothsea Suite at the 5-star Bonham Hotel. We've previously shared a video showcasing our excellent experience at this property, so follow the links provided to watch that video if you have not already. And if you're also enjoying this video or finding it useful in planning your own travels, go ahead and hit that like button to help us out. We next make our way through several closes until we arrive at the Writers' Museum, a literary gem nestled in the heart of the old town, and dedicated to showcasing the lives and works of 3 of Scotland's most illustrious writers, Robert Burns, Sir Walter Scott, and Robert Louis Stevenson. Housed in a charming 17th century building, the museum offers visitors a captivating glimpse into the world of each of these literary giants through a collection of manuscripts, personal artifacts, and memorabilia. The exhibits also highlight the influence each of these writers have had upon both the literary world and culture more generally. From Burns's poignant poetry to the historical novels of Scott to the adventurous tales set to the page by Stevenson. The Writers' Museum is an amazing tribute to the power of the written word and the talent of these 3 men, and invites both avid readers and casual visitors to explore the rich tapestry of Scotland's literary heritage, making this enchanting museum a must for anyone looking to understand the influence of these 3 writers and of Scotland upon the rest of the world. We know that we certainly enjoyed basking in the charm of Edinburgh's storied past, and recommend it to anyone who may be interested, particularly as the museum is free to visit.
Alright, I guess.
Following our foray into the phenomenal world of fiction, we visit the iconic Gothic structure known as the Scott Monument, a beautiful work of architecture adorned with intricate carvings and statues that towers over the Prince's Street Gardens in celebration of Scott's literary history. And for those curious if you'll really hear bagpipes during your trip to Edinburgh, it seems likely. Next, we've booked a tour with the Real Mary King's Close, which provides guests with an intriguing glimpse below Edinburgh's modern-day streets to see what life was like in the 17th century for inhabitants of the lower levels during a time of plague and hardship. We were not allowed to film the tour as we were told a portion of the underground tunnels runs beneath a government building, and so security dictates the prohibition of filming. However, we think it is fair game to show you some of the promotional footage released by the Mary King's Close tour company itself, which provides some idea of what our tour looked like. And as we understand it, each tour guide is an actor that inhabits the role of an individual that actually lived in Mary King's Close some hundreds of years ago. Our guide was very funny, and his storytelling helped to bring the history of our surroundings to life, making for an incredibly immersive experience and a very enjoyable and memorable booking. And although most of what we were told was based in historic fact, the tour also includes some spooky stories hinting at the potential for certain areas to be haunted. Of course, we didn't see anything, but what do you think? Are there ghosts reliving their past beneath the streets of Edinburgh? Whether or not you believe in ghosts, the Plague Doctor is an excellent listener for those who wish to share their theories on the afterlife with him. Having emerged once more into the daylight, now waning, I was thrilled when we finally made our way to the statue of David Hume, a well-known Scottish philosopher and perhaps one of my own favorite writers. Here are a few of my favorite quotes from Hume. For dinner, we make our way to the Avery, a Michelin-starred restaurant helmed by chef Rodney Wages, who began his career working for Chef Keller at the French Laundry, arguably one of the world's best restaurants. During a trip to Edinburgh, Chef Wages reportedly fell in love with the city and so decided to open Avery, a restaurant named after painter Milton Avery. Upon arriving, we descend once more beneath street level to enjoy a delicious array of beautifully plated delicacies. Now, although we enjoyed each of the dishes at the Avery, we will just show you some of our favorites so that you can discover the others for yourself when you go. To start, we are served a langoustine dish, complemented by fermented pineapple and chilies. For the next dish, barbecue eel is prepared in smoked pork fat and served atop a shiso leaf, which is a member of the mint family. Texturally, this was probably our favorite dish. We are also served a grilled beet made to look like a rose. Each of these dishes has their own merit, but we definitely enjoyed the creativity expressed on the plate by the chef. For our next course, we are served a dish of wild oysters mixed with seaweed, trout roe, and spring peas. Another tasty home run. For the following course, we are served with what we understand to be the dish that Chef Wages is best known for, his tortellini in roasted garlic broth. The dish was tasty, but we did not think it was his strongest effort of the night. For our main meat dish, we are served a wild bird with black truffle, and this is when Inez also found what she says is her new favorite whiskey, which resulted from the collaborative efforts of Chef Wages to create a whiskey that specifically complements his dishes. Inez said it tasted like hot chocolate and deliciousness, and so she recommends sampling this whiskey if you go. Finally, for our last courses of the night, we are served a cheese tart topped with honeycomb and shaved cheddar. And then for our dessert course, a beautifully decorated custard topped with berries. And this was served alongside the equally fun petit fours. We absolutely enjoyed our dinner at the Avery. However, if you're looking for a decadent place to eat, but aren't interested in a Michelin-starred tasting menu, our alternative recommendation is the Witchery, a historic and renowned restaurant located only steps away from Edinburgh Castle and housed in a beautifully restored 16th century building, complete with exquisite fabrics, antique furnishings, all enhanced by a lovely candlelit ambiance. The Witchery certainly sets the perfect vibe for a romantic and atmospheric dining experience. For our visit, we chose to dine in the original dining room, which is adorned with rich Baroque decor, ancient oak paneling, and multiple tapestries, all intended to transport visitors to a bygone era. Here, we started with the haggis, which we thought to be even more delicious than the first time we ever tasted this dish. And for our main, we shared the lamb Wellington, which, in case you're curious about the size, is meant to be ordered for two. We found the food at the Witchery to be quite tasty, and thought that what really set it apart was its unique atmosphere and location, something we think everyone might like to try at least once in their lifetime. Overall, we think we spent what felt like a pretty perfect day in Edinburgh. We are well aware that what qualifies as perfect is subjective from person to person, as everyone's definition is likely to vary based on their preferences. Also, as there are just so many other potential combinations of things to do or places to eat, we think there are multiple ways to make your time in Scotland's capital feel like a perfect day. But what do you think? Have you visited any of the places featured in this video? Would you like to? Do you have any other favorite things to do or places to eat in Edinburgh? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe now. As always, we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So until next time.